Prentice Gautt believed there are no coincidences, just little gifts of grace. His widow, Sandra, saying,
Prentice is still very much a part of my life.
A connectedness that never went away. A warm smile on a strong running back, connected forever with OU football, the man who had the fortitude to break the Sooners' color barrier. As a teenager in Oklahoma City, Gautt and his friends would take the bus to Norman, hop the fence at Owen Field, and run down the sidelines.
You can just think about these teenagers, kind of having that dream, knowing that there was never any way that any of them would be doing that in their lifetime.
Segregation, a cruel reality for Black Americans.
Prentice lived with an aunt. The house was somewhat in an alley. We never knew we were in poverty. The way I looked at it, and I assume he did as well, is that this was life.
A football career was a fantasy until he met OU head football coach Bud Wilkinson.
They made a great team, the two of them. My dad ended up saying, Luke, at the end of his career, that he felt the most significant thing he ever did was to help break the color line. He recognized that this would be a very difficult barrier to break.
In 1956, Gautt didn't have a scholarship. A group of Black doctors, dentists, and pharmacists pooled together the money to pay his tuition. But a Black man on an all-white team meant excessive hard hits, being stepped on in practice, and racist comments. Most of the hate went behind Gautt's back, but Wilkinson noticed.
Bud called a team meeting. Bud walked in and simply said, I understand a number of you have been talking about Prentice behind his back. I expect you to be men, and I expect you to say it to his face, and walked out. And Prentice said, if he could go under the chair, he wanted to. And he said, actually, people spoke up, but also there were individuals who spoke up in terms of support of him. And he said, after that, things just shifted.
Another moment came almost like out of a movie after a game at Tulsa his freshman year.
The restaurant that they were attending, when they walked in, refused to serve the team because of Prentice and the fact that he was a Black man.
So he said he left and walked back, to the bus, and he describes it, really being one of the lowest points in his career. And so he's on the bus by himself. And he said he looks up, and all of a sudden, the whole team is now back on the bus.
The team stood up and said, if they're not going to serve Prentice, they're not going to serve us.
Sandra Gautt and I spoke on what would have been Prentice's 83rd birthday. The blatant racism is just too much pressure on a college-age student athlete. What kind of temperament does it take not just to succeed in those moments, but to thrive?
I think it takes someone who has a strong sense of self,
which he instilled in others.
He had a pathway in his mind, seemingly to me, that he wanted to be someone in spite of the conditions that we all grew up in. And
with Gautt on varsity, the Sooners won 3 conference titles, including his MVP performance in the 1959 Orange Bowl. Gautt played 8 seasons in the NFL, all but one with the then St. Louis Cardinals. He then earned his PhD in psychology at the University of Missouri. It was on campus waiting for an elevator he met Sandra.
Worst pickup line ever. Says, hi, I'm Prentice Gautt. Haven't we met somewhere before? And my response was, no, I'm sure we haven't.
She let the elevator pass twice. The rest is history. Gautt then worked for the Big 8 Conference when he met Missouri's up-and-coming athletic director, Joe Castiglione.
Prentice was always focused on how he could help people become the best they could be, how they could make, what we say in today's world, how we can make their story better. I wish our student athletes today would have had a chance to get to know Prentice. He was never afraid to speak up on behalf of the welfare of people.
In 1999, Castiglione's second year at OU, the university named its Student Athlete Academic Center after Gautt. At halftime of the Sooners game versus Baylor, they honored him. The field where Gautt had once endured racial slurs and boos, applause.
When I think of it, the hair on my skin still stands up. I'll never forget that. It went on and on and on and on, so much so that I'm not sure the people that were in the stadium that they ever wanted to stop. I mean, I felt like if they could all come down and hug Prentice to show how much they love him, they would have done that.
I think for Prentice, that came full circle.
One last gift of grace for Prentice Gautt.